When Latter-day Saints first started arriving in Missouri, they were commanded to come here in an orderly way. That order included being told to come here by the prophet and being willing to consecrate properties that they had to the bishop and to receive an inheritance in Zion. However, many Latter-day Saints came here without having been asked to and without a willingness to consecrate. By November of 1832, a reported 830 Latter-day Saints were living in the Jackson County area. In response to this issue, William Phelps had written several letters to Joseph Smith asking how people who had not consecrated should be recorded on the records of the church. On November 27, 1832, Joseph Smith dictated a letter, now section 85 of the Doctrine and Covenants, which gave some reply to the questions that William was asking. Particularly, Joseph Smith instructed William that the clerk of the church should record the consecrations as they come in. That it's by recording the consecrations and inheritances of members of the church as they're received and as they're given, that members of the church become members of the covenant here in the community in Independence. Section 85 of the Doctrine and Covenants is a very technical revelation. It uses words that while we may use them today, they don't commonly mean the same thing. For example, a consecration. Today we talk about consecration as our willingness to serve in the church. In the 1830s, a consecration was actual property and other goods that were given to the bishop of the church, who then, based on need and desire, gave back those things that were necessary to support a person's family. That was called their inheritance. In section 85 of the Doctrine and Covenants, Joseph Smith tells William that part of the problem is that the saints have acted contrary to the commandments of God. Joseph Smith explains that the law of consecration, received in section 42 of the Doctrine and Covenants, is required for those who will settle in Zion. If we look to section 101 of the Doctrine and Covenants, we find some explanations for the problems that were happening at the time that section 85 was received. The Lord said that these things had happened in consequence of their transgressions. He said specifically that there had been jarrings and contentions and envyings and strifes and lustful and covetous desires among them, and that those things had polluted their inheritances. As a result of those mistakes, the saints had been driven from Jackson County. With section 85 of the Doctrine and Covenants, the Lord is giving them a warning that things have already started to go awry, but that if they continue, eventually they will lose their inheritances in Zion. That is what ultimately happened. They had polluted those inheritances and were eventually driven by the mob from Jackson County.